I'm Shirley, and welcome to a brand new guided coloring video. In this video, I'll be walking you through the steps I used to color this watermelon munch page, along with some little details and helpful tips here and there. Thanks so much for watching! Welcome to visit my Etsy shop. You can purchase this instantly downloadable coloring page over there. Alright, let's get started. For this page, I'm using Polychromos colored pencils. I'm starting with the watermelon first. Since watermelons have those darker stripe patterns, I like to lay down a light base color first, then go in with a deeper green to define the stripes. A watermelon is basically a sphere. When I'm coloring it, I pay a lot of attention to the light and shadow. Let's say the light source is coming from the right side, then the left side and the bottom of the watermelon will naturally fall into shadow. I keep this idea in mind at every stage of layering. When I'm working on the brighter areas, I use a lighter touch with my hand, but when I move into the shadow areas, I press a bit more, building up the tone and making the colors deeper and richer. I build up the drawing by layering different shades of green. That's really where color pencils shine. You can blend a whole range of greens and make them transition really smoothly and naturally. When I'm coloring the watermelon flesh, I use strokes that radiate inward from the rind toward the center. It follows the natural structure of the fruit. At the edge where the flesh meets the rind, I blend it with a white pencil. That soft transition helps the boundary look much more natural. I like to sharpen a black colored pencil really fine and use it to draw the little watermelon seeds. It's one of those cute small details I really enjoy. When I draw the little yellow flowers on the watermelon, I start with a light yellow base first. Then, I use a deeper yellow to add the stripes on the petals. At the same time, I darken the center of the flower a bit, so it feels more three-dimensional and has that nice sense of depth. The rest of the watermelon is basically done using the same approach I just explained. At the top of this watermelon, there's also a soft halo of light. So while I'm coloring it, I still need to pay attention to the direction of the light source. It doesn't have to stay pure white. Instead, when I refine each layer, I just go in with a lighter touch. The key is to keep that area noticeably lighter than the rest. The watermelon vine has a really flowing, streamlined shape, and I mainly use a light green for it. I also add some tiny speckles and texture so it feels more alive and natural. For this part, I really like using Polychromos 168 and 170. They're kind of yellow-green tones, very fresh and bright. If you're using Prismacolor, you can go with something similar like chartreuse. Wherever you see the veins or the natural structure of the leaf, those areas tend to sink in slightly, so the color there should also be deeper. As for the exact shade of green, it's not really that important. What matters more is the contrast between light and dark. I use a darker green to build up the shadow areas where the form naturally dips and folds. I also want to recommend Polychromos color number 167, Permanent Green Olive. This shade looks really natural, and it's especially great for drawing leaves. I honestly use this color a lot in my work. When it comes to the range of greens overall, I actually feel like Prismacolor has a more extensive selection. So if you're using Prismacolor colored pencils, you'll have a lot more options to choose from when it comes to greens. Using a leaf as an example, we can see that we don't actually need to outline the veins with rigid, hard lines. Instead, we can simply use darker tones to color the shadowed areas of the leaf and leave some spaces untouched. By doing it this way, you naturally get a feeling that, oh, there are veins in this part of the leaf. Now let's move on to coloring this wooden bench. Working with wood is actually pretty interesting. First, I start with a relatively light brown as the base layer. Wood also has its own texture and grain, and there are details like the nails on the bench that we can use darker color to emphasize. I also do a bit of work along the edges of the wood. By outlining parts of the edge with a darker color, the wooden planks start to feel more dimensional and solid instead of flat. In the gaps and joints between the wood, I deepen the tones, and whenever there are cracks in the wood, I use a darker brown to reinforce those areas as well. From a distance, this already starts to give the wood a really realistic, textured feel. Add a bit of shadow under and to the left side of where little hamster and hedgehog are sitting. The eyes are one of the most expressive parts of small animals. When I draw the eyes, I sharpen a black-colored pencil really fine, then use the tip to carefully define the eyeball. I can press a little more firmly here so it looks nice and dark. Of course, there are also highlights in the eyes. When it comes to drawing the hedgehog's spines, I actually found it a bit tricky at first because I wasn't really sure how to approach it. But then I figured out a method that works for me. I start by using a dark brown to draw each spine one by one, kind of in a sharp triangular shape. This naturally leaves some white space in between, which already starts to feel like individual spikes. Then I go back in and layer different shades of brown over the whole body. I build up light and dark areas gradually. In some places, I even use a deeper brown or even black to strengthen the shadows near the base of the spines. This really helps make each spike feel like it's standing up with volume and depth. In the end, I'm actually pretty happy with how it turned out. I feel like this method works really well for drawing hedgehog spines. I also use a bit of a white gel pen at the end to add highlights along the edges of the spikes, which helps bring them forward even more. Finally, we draw the 2 slices of watermelon that the little animals are holding. We actually already covered the watermelon technique at the beginning of the video, so I basically just used the same approach here to finish them up. That's everything for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I really think this piece has such a refreshing summer vibe, especially with the watermelon in it. It just feels perfect for the warm season that's coming up. If you like this coloring page, you can visit my Etsy shop to purchase it. There are also many other coloring pages available in my shop. For some of them, I've also created real-time coloring along videos, so you can draw together with me step by step. If you prefer a real-time coloring along experience, I've also uploaded those versions on my channel. They are more immersive, with just real-time coloring and music, so you can relax and follow along. Alright, thank you again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.